This is a third episode of the Bean podcast with a very special guest, again from the Bean organization. And yeah, I want to give her the opportunity to introduce herself.
Oh, thank you so much, Ahmed. Yes, well, my name is Hilde Latour. I'm Dutch and I'm based in the Netherlands. And well, apart from my professional job, I'm running a company in water. I also volunteer as a basic income activist since it must have been 10 years now, I think. And yeah, I first started as a writer for Basic Income News, just to learn about basic income. I heard about it a couple of years before I started to be active. And I was really excited about the concept because it is so simple and so easy to implement technically. And it's at the same time, it transforms everything. So it changes everything, the way you think about work, the way you think about activities, the way you it changes everything, and that's why I was so excited about it. And then I became active first as a writer, as I said, and then soon after that, I was invited to be part of the board of the Dutch basic income movement. And now I'm, since 3 years, I'm vice chair of Basic Income Earth Network, the global organization. And I also founded with a few friends from the basic income movement, my own organization, which is Mission Possible 2030, which basically focuses on basic income as the key to achieve the sustainable development, the sustainable development goals. So I'm involved in 3 formal official organizations. And yeah, so I think you can say that I'm a fan of basic income, and I'm really, dedicate part of my time to make it happen, because it's time.
So we have a lot to speak about, but in the beginning, can you tell me, you said that you're part of the Dutch basic income movement? So does basic income have a history or tradition in the Netherlands?
No, not really. Well, one of the founders of BN is Dutch, Alexander de Roo, and he's the chair of the Dutch basic income movement. So in that sense, it has a long history, but no, not as an implementation on a society level. Although we do have something like basic income for people over 67, which is like a state pension, which is completely unconditional except for the age. So we always say that, implementing basic income in the Netherlands is simple. You just have to reduce the age of the state pension.
And is that state pension level, is it a good amount? Isn't enough to live a life in dignity?
It is, well, people struggle to live their life with that amount of money, but it's just enough. It would say it's just like the poverty line, basically, in the Dutch context.
So you said you're part in 3 organizations, and you're right. So there is a lot you do, but what exactly do you do currently? If you could describe it more.
What I do exactly in the basic income field? Well, within BN, I'm vice chair. So together with Sarath Davala, who's the chair, we basically are trying to support the executive committee and the international movements to become more self-organizing, to have a better coverage in particularly the global south, because BN was founded in the 80s as a European network, and we have now become an Earth network, but we're still more very European focused and Northern America focused. So we really are putting some effort in it to make BN a truly global network. So we're setting up a regional hub. We have set up a regional hub in Africa already. We have one in Latin America. Soon we will have one in Asia, so that the advocates and the academics and the politicians, policymakers can really bring the basic income conversation forward connected with their own context. Yeah, so it's very different in Africa compared to Europe or the Americas, of course. So we really want to give that movement a push forward and become truly global. And that's really exciting to do. So that's what I do within Bien. In the Netherlands, I'm sort of like the link between the Dutch movement and the international movement. So I'm the board member for international relations, which is easy when you are when you are in the executive committee of Bien, of course. And with Mission Possible 2030, we really try to implement basic income funded by the community, so a community-based basic income. So so we really want to show that we can actually do it even without the help of governments. And with a new technology.
Are there like any products on the ground you're working on in Mission 30?
Yeah, we have one project in Kenya, in a rural area in Kenya, in Kuwaiti A, where we, this project is now paused because the funding stopped, but we managed to show that we can actually reach the last mile, which is like the last person in a village without a phone, without the ability to read and write, to actually get the money to those people using blockchain technology as a distribution system. And that is very important to me, because we have, with blockchain technology, when blockchain technology came, there were also basic income projects, at least what they call basic income projects, but they're all focusing eventually on collecting data. And we really should be very aware that for basic income, we don't need biometrics. For basic income, we don't need transaction data to be collected, because basic income, when you have a basic income, one of the characteristics is that you have the absolute freedom of choice to spend your money on whatever you want. So I think it's really important that we as a basic income movement are involved in these new technology projects, even though we are not technicians, but just to be the guardians of the concept and to make sure that we are not hacked by big data companies that actually use a basic income concept or name to basically onboard people that have no access to the internet yet.
Yes, so we said so much now. I think we have to go a little more in detail. So you said that your product in Kenya is working with blockchain technology. So blockchain technologies are like it's something you hear a lot currently. Normally you hear about it on cryptocurrencies in the same time. So, and I'm now not the most tech savvy, so could you please like go more into detail, like explain how exactly blockchain technology works? Like, I know that it's like computers are connected to each other or so, but could you please explain it in a better way than me?
Yeah, well, there are many different types of blockchain technologies. You have centralized blockchain technology, you have decentralized blockchain technology. But basically, if you look at the overall thing, it's basically a database, a dynamic database, where every transaction is recorded on the blockchain and cannot be changed, at least cannot be changed without being seen, basically. And the simplest transaction is a transaction from a currency going from one wallet to the other. Yeah, so if you pretend that you have a cash wallet and you have a cash note and you have your own wallet in your pocket and we exchange physical money, blockchain technology enables us to do the same thing, but in a digital way. The main thing that people have to be aware about, I think, because it comes with great opportunities, but also serious threats, is that who owns the infrastructure of the blockchain. Yeah, so for example, Bitcoin, which is the most, the first mainstream cryptocurrency on the blockchain, has a decentralized infrastructure. where the database is, so the registration of the transactions is divided over several different servers and computers all over the world. And every computer has the complete set of transactions on their servers. Whereas other blockchains, for example, like the central banks are now trying to launch and develop a cryptocurrency, but their blockchain infrastructure and their bookkeeping is completely centralized, which means that they have the control over the bookkeeping. And so, yeah, explain blockchain in one sentence is very different because there are so many different types. But the innovative thing is that we are now able to actually create our own money systems. And there are many cryptocurrencies already, tens of thousands or 20,000 or maybe even more already. If you're a little bit of a technician or with a little bit technical view, you can easily create your own token and use that as complementary currency, for example. And that's why so many basic income projects are now emerging on the blockchain, although I haven't seen a true basic income project yet on the blockchain. So, but it's early days.
So UBI program that will be like distributed through blockchain, will they be like in normal centralized currencies, or would they require like decentralized currencies like Bitcoin or so?
Yeah, it can theoretically it can be anything. I mean, the project that we did in Kenya, what they distributed was they call it a stable coin, which is a coin, a currency, or a token that has a guaranteed value of $1. Yeah, so there's no volatility in the US dollar realm. Yeah, I mean, there can be volatility in any other currency, but the token is always worth $1. So and what the blockchain then brings us is, because in Kenya they already have this digital money system with that's called M-Pesa, where they can actually do money transactions using SMS, the SMS system. And because you have this blockchain technology, you can actually distribute US dollars in a cryptocurrency to an M-Pesa phone, and then in the back end, that cryptocurrency will be transferred into the Kenyan shilling, like the local currency. And then the people with their features phone, yeah, just a simple phone, they can go to the local M-Pesa shop, where they can actually even exchange that digital Kenyan shilling into physical money. So in Africa, you have in many countries you have this system already in place, where people can use their phones for financial transactions without having a bank account.
So any person who has a phone could be easily reached through that technology.
Yeah, in the village that we worked in, it's even people even didn't need to have a phone; they only needed a SIM card, and they could use each other's phone to collect the money, and then go to the M-Pesa shop and collect the physical money. But it's important then, you know, if you do that in remote rural areas where internet connection is not a normal thing and people don't have phones, it's really important to do that together with the communities. Yeah, so it's really a joint project where we work really closely together with the locals. We have local coordinators, and they work together with the local clans. So it's not, you know, going from the outside and drop a few smartphones in a village and distribute a basic income. That's not going to happen, especially not in very poor areas, because the first thing that people will do is they will sell their phone and buy food for their children. So you really have to work together with the communities to see how we can reach the last mile. And yeah, that is a lot of effort, but it's also a very fun thing to do, because
so it would be now very difficult to implement in the bigger cities where you don't have that village structure or so?
Yeah, well, in the cities, more people have phones. But yeah, I mean, if you would have to work with local coordinators in like urban areas as well, probably, and you will set up an infrastructure where you have to collaborate and really educate people what about also about the unconditionality of basic income, that the locals really take the efforts to include everyone and to not to leave anyone behind, because in the end, basic income is for everyone, even the people that have no ID cards, no identity papers, no passport numbers. Yeah, and the locals know best where those people are.
So there were some changes in the prices of cryptocurrencies in the last 12, 24 months. So I think a lot of people might be skeptical about how stable even such a stable coin would be. So how did you deal with that instability in the cryptocurrency markets? And is that like a threat for such technology and such a way to distribute UBI?
Yes, that is absolutely a problem. With the stable coin, you go around that, but then you have to deal with the volatility of the fiat currency, which is the US dollar.
Mhm.
And that's there's a lot happening in the fiat currency realm as well, where where the BRICS countries are actually leaving the US dollar as a global currency for
Is that
international
true?
trade.
I
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
that's more of rumors.
No. No. The BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and many countries, for African countries, for example, are now joining that initiative, that they want to use their own currencies for international trade. So, and that is happening at the moment. So even the dollar is not as stable as we think it is. And I mean, yeah, but yeah, you're right. I mean, most of the cryptocurrencies, I mean, they're hugely volatile, and it's basically a unregulated gambling area where people really want to become rich just by day trading cryptocurrencies. And yeah, sometimes people are lucky and become filthy rich, but yeah, a lot of people lose their money as well. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, eventually, I think there will be a lot of local initiatives where yeah, people create their own local currencies as a complementary currency to the national or international currencies, and it's up to the people themselves how they're going to deal with that in the end.
So we can imagine that in the future there will be like a lot of local cryptocurrencies that will be adjusted over time to become more and more stable. And those cryptocurrencies will be usable like through blockchain technology as a faster and more efficient way to distribute a UBI, if I understand right.
Yeah, it can be a way. It can be integrated in a UBI program, but I must say that I think that we also have to be very strict on that. It also needs to be able to be physical cash, because physical cash is guaranteed anonymous when you spend it. And in the digital era, I mean, we know that a lot of data is being stolen or taken from you without you even knowing it, or with you, accepting the rules for using apps. They can steal every data from you that's online. So I think it's very important that we keep that we keep cash as a form of money. And I mean, it's even in the definition of basic income, right? From Bien's basic income definition, that it needs to be cash, and that is because we need the absolute freedom of choice where to spend it on.
So yeah, but then it could be like exactly like in the model you're working on in Kenya, where you just receive it in cryptocurrency and then you can like, and if the cryptocurrency is like adapted locally and
Yeah,
accepted locally, you could just turn it into cash like any other foreign
yeah,
currency, I guess.
yeah, absolutely. And what it brings us is because, you know, because of the blockchain technology, we can now, let's say, if you have a few sponsors, you know, companies or people, and you have a certain amount of money, or you have created a wealth fund, and from that fund or from that central wallet or organized wallet, you can actually reach the people, the individual people, without using banks. It crosses borders without any problems. So you can from the Netherlands, where I'm sitting, I can transfer money without a problem to someone in a village in Kenya that I don't even know. Yeah, so and that wasn't possible before.
So and how do people in Europe think about that idea? Are they like more skeptical or like more open to it, like implementing it through like even UBI advocates and like people, the public in general, are they like pro an UBI that is like through a blockchain technology distributed, or are they like rather skeptical about it?
Well, in Europe, of course, most of the people already have a smartphone, so they're very used to digital transactions already. But regarding basic income, I hear more and more resistance against a basic income program because of the central bank digital currency that is coming. And people are really afraid that these central bank digital currencies will be handed out to people as sort of like as a basic income. And then eventually, because central bank digital currency is programmable money, which means that your wallet can be restricted, but also the money itself. So the money itself can have an expiry date, which means that, for example, you will have to use it before a certain date, and otherwise it will be taken away from you. It will be burned. Or the money can be programmed in a sense that you can actually, for example, only use it for certain goods and services. So people are really afraid that these central bank digital currencies will be introduced as a basic income, and then eventually will evolve into a social credit system. And what I always reply to that is that, look, programmable money is by design not suitable for basic income, because basic income is about freedom and about freedom of choice. So it might well be that they will hand out free programmable money to drag you into a central bank digital currency system, but that doesn't mean that it is a basic income. And that's why I think the basic income movement is very important to be the guardians of the concept, and to keep repeating and explaining that a basic income is not just about poverty relief. It is maybe even more about freedom, about the end of slavery, and so it's yeah.
One second, you said now like you used big words, the end of slavery. Which type of slavery do you see that slavery still exists until now?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, even in my country, the Netherlands, we have this so-called welfare system, where when you're unemployed or unable to work, you first have to prove that you are unable to work and that you did a lot of efforts to find a job, and then you can get an income from the state. But you are obliged to look for a job, and if you can't find it, you have mandatory servitude, which is a form of slavery. Yeah, they call it participation law, where you actually you are asked or forced to work for the government. I don't know, pick garbage collectors, or do some gardening in the public space. But that is mandatory servitude, which is a form of slavery, and is in actually the Human Rights Act as a form of slavery. So yes, slavery certainly still exists, even in a country like the Netherlands. And of course, you know, in many countries you have debt slavery. Yeah, no,
like
so
in the US?
yes, yes. I think in almost every country you have debt slaves, and yeah, so people are really locked into this system where they are forced to work in a job that they don't really feel passionate about, just to survive. And that is a form of slavery.
Okay, so you said that the European Central Bank is working on like organizing their own digital currency that will be that could be like transformed into a social credit system. But do you think that that is realistic? Will they really implement something like that? Because like I think in the EU, every decision has to be accepted by every country. So is something like that even realistic to happen?
Well, all central banks are working on programmable money, not just the European Bank. Yes, I mean this is decided on a different level than on the political level. It is an initiative from the banks, from the Bank of International Settlements and the central banks underneath that. And you can already see it, how they're going to do it with the carbon footprint that you can already see on our bank accounts. If you want to, you can already see what your carbon footprint is, and they're very open about it. If you look it up, programmable money, central banks, you can find several reports where they actually talk about money with an expiry date, with money being programmed and limited to buy certain goods and services. So yes, they are going to implement it, but you know, it is up to the people if you choose to be paid in a currency like that. You know, with all the different possibilities now, with you know, Bitcoin or all the other cryptocurrencies, you can decide how you want to be paid for when you spend your time and energy or products when you sell that in the market. So yeah, it's a very exciting times, but also yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, no, they're very open about it. That they are going to implement it, and of course, there's a lot of resistance. So probably they will not start with the money being programmed and limited to certain expenditures, but it's certainly possible. And of course, it's very dangerous when a central organization like a central bank has the power to program your money.
From an economist perspective, I guess it would be the dream of every economist to be able like to incentivize what people can spend and
Yeah.
cannot spend their money on.
Yes. Yeah.
It would like lead to maximum efficiency, but I guess it would be difficult from a freedom rights
Yes.
perspective.
Yes.
Because like my first thought was that was wonderful. Like
Yes, yes, if he can program the money that they can buy your products only.
yeah,
That
I
would
guess
be great. Well, that's actually what they're doing. I mean, the European the European Central Bank is actually, you know, if you look at the parties that they're actually working with when they're developing this. I mean, they're working with Amazon. Yeah, Amazon is programming or developing, you know, a part of this system. So it's, I mean, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're really moving the money towards the central banks and the absolute power towards the central banks. And I don't think that local politicians, national politicians have anything to say about this. I mean, in the Dutch Parliament, the huge majority of the members of Parliament are against programmable money, and still they are. Yeah, still they are doing it. So this
but I mean
is decided.
it wouldn't replace the euro, right?
Yes, they call it digital euro, just to make it sound less dangerous, because we already have a digital euro. But they call it digital euro, but it is actually programmable money. And what they are now saying that no, we have decided to make it not programmable. But what they mean is they don't program it yet, but it is programmable. It is technically not possible to prevent it from being programmable.
So if you'd like, yeah, if you'd like organize an UBI distribution system in European countries, would you rather like use the old welfare bureaucracy to distribute cash, or would you like to put money in the bank accounts of people because most people already have bank accounts, or would you rather like use a blockchain technology but rather a decentralized one?
Well, if you ask me personally, I would prefer to do that with Bitcoin, but I think that's going to take some time for people to have consensus on that, because as many cryptocurrencies there are, as many opinions there are about cryptocurrencies. No, I mean, in Europe, we already have the infrastructure there. And in the Netherlands, we have 20 or 30 or even more income-dependent subsidies that can be replaced completely with one, which is an unconditional basic income. And then we will really have to be aware and refuse the programmable money. So yeah, if our governments allow this programmable money to be implemented, yeah, then it's up to the people to find a solution and alternatives to use different kinds of money, cash or gold or silver or I don't know, and yeah, and create a basic income system from bottom up.
So you mean like that if the European Central Bank starts their own digital currency and distribute it in the beginning in form of a UBI, that would be like a Trojan horse
Yes.
to control, like to replace the euro and completely control the currency system.
Yeah, and then of course the alternative is can only be something that is being built from bottom up, and I think that we should look at, for example, I don't know if you've heard about the casino dividends in the States, where
I
actually,
haven't before, to be honest.
well, no, that's really I really like that as a model. It's basically there's a village in the United States where they wanted to build a casino. I think it was in the 80s or 90s. And the people were not really happy about that casino being built in a village, because they were afraid that everyone would become a gambler. But then they negotiated that part of the profit would be distributed as a basic income to all the people of the village, including babies. And fortunately, there were some researchers that collected data from the people in that village, but also from the surrounding villages. And what they found was the effects that we have become used to, that less psychiatric disorders, less alcohol abuse or drug abuse. People worked comparable amounts of hours a week compared to the people in the surrounding villages. So this model works, and it shows that if you are a company and you share your profits to a sort of like a wealth fund, then that fund can be used to distribute a basic income. And I mean, in this project, of course, the government was involved, but you can imagine that we can also organize that ourselves. And I think eventually that would be my preference to not to be dependent on governments and politicians that change the rules all the time.
Okay. So for in your opinion, a UBI should not be financed by fiat money that is just created by the government. But a UBI, like, not, I don't mean, I'm not speaking against fiat currency. I'm only saying it should not be created by creating new money and distributing it, but rather through creating like a social dividend, like creating projects that are owned by the community, and those profits are used to finance an UBI in those communities, right?
Yes, so you can do that on a community level, but also have a global wealth fund, for example, where you do that. But I mean, I don't mind if it's fiat currency or any other currency, as long as it is not programmable. Yeah, as long as we are free to choose what to spend it on. I mean, that's non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but like, if we were speaking about that social dividend idea, or or those, I mean, like, aren't we opening like the door for what, like, like the Soviet economy model, like, because then we would need businesses and those to be owned by society, right? Would they still be for profit? Wouldn't be that kind of a dangerous path, or what do you think? I imagine that a lot of people, especially in countries like the US, and I think also the Netherlands, have a long capitalist history, would be rather skeptical.
Well, no, the companies don't have to be owned by the community. The companies can be run and owned by the entrepreneurs. It's just that we have to create a care economy, basically, where we share the profit with the community. So it's like a mindset that needs to be different. And I mean, yeah, you can do that. Now we try to do that through a taxing system. But the tax money is used for all kinds of stuff except for basic income. So we can organize it with a model that is used in the casino dividend model, and decide that it is just to give people the economic security and safety, so that everyone can thrive.
Sounds perfect, but the question is then, like, how do we do we convince those owners of those entrepreneurs, those owners of the businesses, to be part of that care economy, to share their profits? How can we do that? Because like classic economic theory says, Homo economicus, like normal logical thinking human, is egoistic and will only think about their own interests. So it's like 180 degrees from the care economy model. So how do you think can we do that?
Yeah, I mean, of course, that is going to be a challenge, just like as it is a very big challenge to convince politicians. Yeah, so yeah, I think we need a few examples where we actually implement a model like that, and show people what it brings to a whole community if everyone within the community can live a decent life, because they don't have to be afraid that they don't have enough money to buy food for their children, and to live a decent life. So just like a basic income scheme that comes from political policies, we need one country as an example, and as soon as we have one country, others will follow, because people will demand for it. And with a community-based project, we also need an example where we can actually build this. and yeah, show the rest of the world that this is a better society than the one with where we exclude people and even blame them for their own miserable situation. Yeah, it's also people sometimes think that it's the poor that have not organized themselves well enough, and that's the reason why they are poor. No, they have no energy, no time, no to think. If you can't feed your children, you can't think of your surroundings. Yeah. So the only thing you are worried about is, can I feed my children today? And how on earth are you going to take care of your environment if you're not able to feed your children?
So such a policy is also necessary. So we give all people the freedom or like the ability for long-term planning and long-term thinking, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and that's why we see so many different effects from a basic income. Yeah, if you have an agriculture project, you have one story: agriculture, food, growing food. But if you give people a basic income in a community, on a community level, so individual but the whole community, then you get hundreds and hundreds of different stories, because every single person is motivated to improve his own life. Yeah, so it starts with you. Yeah, if I was hungry, then I will buy food for myself first and my children, and then eventually it will go beyond yourself. Yeah, so it's first on the individual level, then the household level, then the community level, and then maybe even the broader environment level, and it goes step by step, small steps. But if you look at how people invest their money, I mean, they invest it in things that can grow. For example, they buy animals that can multiply. Yeah, you have a few dollars, you buy a chicken, and then well, if you also have a and then it can multiply. And so people are usually very wise in how they invest their money if they get their hands on it.
So we create a society of entrepreneurs. Is that what happened in the village in Kenya where you were doing the study, the program?
Yeah, I mean, I can talk a week about the effects it had there. I mean, it was a project that was stopped after 3 or 4 months, so it was very short time that people were actually receiving. But we saw more peace on the household level between spouses. So because they both had money now, so they started to negotiate and plan how to spend their money. That was one really thing, that there were no divorces during that period, not one. Of course, the children were fed better. They could go to school. Young people went to the city to actually learn skills or find a job. They could rent a room in the city to find work and then bring that money back to the community. One of the really amazing effects was they had better negotiating power towards local politicians. So before that we started the project, people were asked to come to this venue where this politician would, talk to them about all the good things that he would do if people would vote on him, and then people would stand there for hours and hours, and then they would receive $1. So they were actually bribed to come to this politician to listen to his beautiful plans. And then when they received the basic income, which was only $7 a week, so it's not a very big amount, but for that context, it was more, well, not more than enough, but very transforming. When they received $7 a week, they went to that politician and they said, listen, we're not here to wait for your $1. We already have $7 a week. We want real policies. And they managed to negotiate and get, health services, irrigation services to irrigate the land, projects for the young people, educational projects. So just because they were not begging anymore for that $1 for that politician, but asking for real policies that changed the whole mindset of that local politician as well. So it has so many effects and so many different levels. Yeah, it's amazing, and I mean, I'm sure that one of the factors of success was that the local coordinators. So we had two men who were coordinating this, and they were already very aware of basic income. They were already active in the basic income movement in Kenya, so they knew perfectly well what basic income is about, and they really took efforts to, you know, to educate and inform the whole village of what was coming. So I think that was definitely part of the success. Yeah, so I mean, and even, I mean, unfortunately, I said, I mean, with pain in my heart, I have to say that the funding stopped because of the volatility on the crypto market. Actually, the company, the organization we worked with, basically they distributed stable coins, but they kept their money on the volatile market. So when it collapsed, the money that was promised was not there anymore. But even with these few months, they have managed to change things for life.
So we see that it created like a lot of emancipation also for the people, for the poor, and for the people in the households.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and this is a village where many people have a small plot of land. Yeah, so they're not selling their products on the market. They just grow food for their own use on the household level, and maybe a few friends if they grow more. But it gave them the opportunity to buy seeds, to irrigate their land, and to become more productive in the food supply, for example.
Can we, like, would it be possible, like, if we think about it like now, like different from the social perspective, from a like business perspective, can we say that a UBI we could say that UBI is like a successful, like almost successful investment into human capital with high returns, right?
Absolutely. I mean, we see that basic income facilitates local economies because people become small entrepreneurs, they start small businesses, and they start buying from each other. So, for example, what Give Directly has shown in their preliminary results is that not only the local economy of the villages where basic income was implemented improved, but also from the surrounding villages that did not receive a basic income, because people started spending their money in the surrounding villages as well. So it's a renaissance and an absolute investment in humans, and yeah, it gives it, and it makes people more resilient for the long run. Yeah, if there is a natural disaster or an economic disaster or a health disaster, people are more resilient, become more resilient when they have a basic income.
So if it is like a successful investment, couldn't we then, like in any other investment that can be successful, couldn't the community like take a loan from a bank or something like that, especially smaller communities? Was that loan financed in the beginning a UBI, and like and after the loan is paid off, you have like a fund that will finance UBI until later or something? Is that, I don't know how, but is that in any form possible?
That's an interesting question. That's a very interesting question. Yeah, well, yeah, no, I think, yeah, no, it shouldn't be a loan. No, listen, there are so many programs that try to target, for example, poverty relief or improve education. There's so much money spent on programs that are not efficient, that are not effective, that often even make things worse. So there is so much money spent on those programs, and there's so many people earning money from those programs. Yeah. So that money should be made available and given directly to the people. No, I don't think it should. I haven't thought about it earlier, but I don't think it should come from a loan from the World Bank or something. That can't be good.
Yeah, I'm wondering, like, if we don't do it like from a government perspective, then do it from a community, like from a community. So you would need to bring that money in the beginning. You know what I mean? You
So
need a
yeah,
way to get that money in the beginning. So like,
yeah. So you could,
I'm not talking
you
about
could,
giving the money to the people in the form of a loan, but rather like starting a fund into you know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. So basically, like a few rich people from the community could actually lend some money to implement a basic income scheme, and they will be paid back from some sort of dividend that comes from the economic development that's as a result of that.
Exactly, something like that.
Yeah,
It doesn't have to be the rich people.
yeah,
I mean, if you want to do it like from community perspective, not from government
yeah,
side.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, as a way of starting it. Yeah, I have to think about that. I don't think I can answer that now. It's there are, yeah, it's a very interesting thought. The only thing is, yeah, who is going to take that risk? I mean, I think that's, yeah, yeah, it's an interesting thought. I have to think about that. Yeah.
So let's go back to Europe because Europe is living currently in very interesting times. I don't know a lot about the Netherlands, to be honest, but I know a lot of Germany about Germany. And currently, Germany is moving into the direction of we want to save more. Germany is cutting spending into social, like human capital. They're cutting student support. They're cutting child money. Is it similar to that in the Netherlands?
Yes and no. Some things. I mean, for example, student support has increased. Is going to increase again this year, but it was stopped for 4 years. So it's a reparation of what they cut off 4 years ago. I mean, there is a trend that the subsidies for the people are going to be limited. The group is increasing that's dependent on the government subsidies. We have a growing group of working poor, and yes, I expect that all the subsidies that are there will not be increased according to the inflation that is already there, of course, and is much higher than what they say it is. So yeah, the welfare state is crumbling down. The state pension age is increasing. Yeah, so it used to be 65, now it's 67.
It's moving into the
I
wrong
think,
direction.
yeah, I think the people that are around 18, 19 at the moment, they will probably start their state pension at the age of 70 plus. So yeah, everything is more tight. Yeah, so more and more people are struggling. There's one bank growing really fast, which is the food bank, where people have to go to collect food if they don't have enough money to feed their children. Yeah, and at the same time, money is spent to buy tanks and weapons to go to the war in Ukraine. So it's political decisions. Sad.
Yeah, definitely. Like probably we shouldn't open the door about where the money is spent. But do you think like in such a time of like decreasing social welfare spending and like increasing poverty, does a UBI in Europe become more probable or like less probable? Because from one perspective, you have the government that says we want to cut our spending, we want to cut our spending. On the other hand, you have like increasing poverty, and yeah, people are living worse.
Yeah, well, we had this big scandal in the Netherlands with the welfare system, where the government really well messed up, and that has facilitated a discussion about basic income, because the welfare system with all these targeted subsidies is so complex that no one really understands it anymore. And yeah, the illness of the welfare state is basically helping the basic income discussion. And I think it is now almost all throughout the whole political spectrum, basic income is being discussed on the party level, from left to right, from center to from up to, so from top to bottom. So I think basic income eventually is going to be inevitable. Not only because of the complexity of all these different types of targeted subsidies, but also because of the huge amount of people that are involved and working in that system. And basically, if your job is to control other people, that does something with your mind, really. So basic income will create nicer people, I think, and more caring people, because they're not controlling others and not bothered by judging other people's behavior. So it is much more efficient, even cost efficient, than the things that we have implemented now. I mean, it's not just what we spend on the targeted subsidies, but it's also what we spend on all the people working in those systems. And then of course the effects of basic income itself. So it's much cheaper to implement a basic income than to hold on to the system that we have in place now. So I think in that respect, it is inevitable that basic income is going to be implemented. And as I said in the beginning, what is going to be the question is, which money are they going to use?
Yeah, so that's the question. Which money could they use? Should they like yes, would just like replacing the existing welfare system be enough to finance it?
No. Well, if you just look at the amount of money that is in the Netherlands now spent on all those subsidies, then it's not enough. Yeah, but if you take into account all the public servants that are working in this system and their salaries, then it will be cheaper.
But like just to be clear, we're not speaking about we're speaking about a situation in which like nobody will be, or like almost nobody will be worse off. Like school will remain for free and healthcare will remain for free, right?
Yeah, that can be. Yeah. No, it's just in the Netherlands we have so many subsidies. We have the dole. We have subsidies for people's to subsidize people's rent. We have health subsidies. We have 20, 30 different income dependent targeted subsidies. That is such a complex system. That can be replaced with one, to press one button and we can replace it all. But that will also mean that many people will lose their jobs, because there is no use for them to control other people if they obey the rules anymore. And that is also money that will come free to be used to finance a basic income. And those people, of course, will receive a basic income, and then they can choose whatever they want. I mean, they can learn new skills and do other jobs, or yeah.
I imagine those are like well-educated people. They will be able to find something else. But my question is rather like, I imagine that like, for example, people with disabilities, or like people with children or so, like probably require additional money.
Yeah,
Like,
people
would they
with
be
this.
worse?
yeah, people with disabilities, they will absolutely require additional money. Yeah, but that's an insurance, right? So that comes from a different package. Yeah.
Yeah. So that wouldn't be like, so we wouldn't be in a situation in which we implement UBI and then people with disabilities, for example, will just get less money than they were getting before.
No. And for children, I mean, we already have child benefits in place. So where people with children get a few hundred euros every 3 months per child. So it's around a little bit more than 100 euros a month. And in the basic income schemes that we propose, we always say that children should also receive as they do now through their parents. So children would also get a small basic income as well.
So because I know that that is also like a big debate currently in Europe, would also immigrants receive it?
Yes, and of course there's a big fear that if you implement a basic income, for example, in the Netherlands, then that will attract a lot of immigrants. So it would probably, as long as we don't have a global basic income, you should probably say that you have to live in the country for a certain amount of years before you're entitled to receive a basic income or something like that. Yeah.
Especially like I imagine like a UBI that's also for immigrants who just came might even make the right wing party stronger.
Yeah.
If it's implemented.
Yeah, and you can also solve it. Well, you can solve that in two ways. One is, of course, to say that people have to live, I don't know, 5 years or whatever in the country before they are entitled to a basic income. And the other thing you can do is, we have this developing money that we send to the global south. But why don't we do that as a basic income? Give it to the people directly instead of to the government or other projects. So you can also, as a high income country, create basic income projects as a developing tool.
So
why not?
Yeah, I mean, like, development assistance, it's a really big topic.
Yeah.
And I think it will need like another interview. I think we're already above 1 hour. So
well, that went quick.
Yeah, so let us conclude it with some like easy questions. Are you optimistic?
Yes, I mean, optimism is the only way forward. Everything else is paralyzing. Yes, I'm very optimistic.
And I asked her a question. I would like to ask you the same question again because I think it's nice. If you would compare universal basic income, or like if you would describe universal basic income with a song, which song would you choose?
Well, I would use the song that a friend of mine made about basic income. That song is called Unconditional, and it's a psytrance track, so it's a bit difficult for people that like mellow music. But yeah, it's called Unconditional.
So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I'm sure you again there in another episode. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ahmed, and success with your exciting podcast series.